These two tiny people were only a few centimeters tall, yet they were determined to chop down a bamboo stalk. First, they made a small cut in it with a knife. Then, they brought out a little saw and started cutting horizontally right under the mark. Bit by bit, they worked their way through, slicing and chopping, until a big notch appeared on the bamboo. The preparation was done. Now all they needed was a running start. One of them jumped up and kicked the bamboo as hard as he could. When that didn't work, the two of them kicked together. They kept going back and forth like that until, finally, the bamboo began to shake, creak, and fall with a soft crash. Of course, they couldn't lift it, it was huge compared to them, so they rolled it all the way back home. They had a plan, to build a natural hot spring bath out of bamboo. A few days earlier, they had read in the newspaper that a new hot spring resort had opened nearby. Excited, they went straight there. Unfortunately, when they arrived, the place was closed for cleaning. A bunch of cat customers had shed so much fur that the drain was clogged. Disappointed, they had to leave. On the way home, still dreaming of a warm soak, they decided to make their own. At first, they thought about using rocks and wood, but that would take too long. Then Akira noticed a tall bamboo stalk. Its hollow structure was perfect, it could be turned into a natural bathtub. After cutting it down, they split the bamboo in half using chisels, set up a pile of stones, and heated them over a fire. They even built a little pipe system for the water. By the time the sun went down, the stones were glowing red. Akira grabbed one with a pair of tongs and dropped it into the water-filled bamboo tub. Bubbles rose from the bottom, and soon, steam drifted into the night air. Their handmade hot spring was complete. Under the soft moonlight, they soaked in the warm water, enjoying a small feast of food and a cup of wine. Life felt perfect. This was their miniature world, a place where everything was tiny except their imagination. Every creature had its role, animals ran the shops, and anyone who earned their favor would be rewarded with free food or goods. Mikoji was one of the most loved people in town. She was cute, kind, and always smiling. Everyone adored her, but she and Akira actually lived far from the city, deep in the forest, in a cozy little treehouse. Every time they returned from shopping, Akira would clear a path through the tall grass so Mikoji could walk behind him safely. This time, they had bought a cabinet, but it turned out to be too big to fit through the door. They had to leave it outside. Just as Mikoji was complaining, a grasshopper knocked on their window. It was the town's news delivery bug. One headline immediately caught Akira's eye. The legendary sunset kite bird had been spotted again. It was said that anyone who saw it at dawn would have one wish granted. Akira was thrilled. He packed his bag right away, eager to find the bird. He and Mikoji didn't even stop for breakfast. They climbed steep hills, pulling themselves up through the tall grass, until two large beetles appeared before them. They climbed onto the beetles' backs, eating Mikoji's homemade vegetable soup as the beetles carried them toward the mountaintop. By the time the full moon rose, they finally arrived. After thanking their beetle friends, they walked through a patch of grass and were met by a breathtaking view of the starry sky. Their dinner was just one peanut Akira had packed, but it was enough. They waited and waited, watching the stars, yet the sunset kite bird never appeared. Just as they were about to give up and eat the last bite, a huge shadow swept over them. A massive bird landed behind them. It had been drawn by the smell of Mikoji's vegetable soup. After taking a sip, it spread its glowing wings and began flapping them gently, lifting Mikoji and Akira high into the air. The bird caught them softly in its feathers and carried them through the sky. That was the legendary sunset kite bird they had been waiting for all along.